Hi everyone, and welcome to this Saturday. Forms named Ethiopia as one of the seven most popular travel destinations, putting so we're all very much interested in discovering more about Ethiopia today. From ancient ruins and temples to monolithic churches and fairy tale-like castles, you can expect to be overwhelmed by the huge selection of historical places of interest. The natural environment is diverse and rich in biodiversity, with over 70% of Africa's mountains being located there. Ethiopia is the true roof of Africa. It is also the birthplace of coffee and home to the rarest canid in the world, the Ethiopian wolf. Today's presenter is Kibran Tours, a leading DMC and tour operator in Ethiopia. So join us as Kibran's owner and CEO, Asefa Azin, will introduce us to some of Ethiopia's rarest and most priceless treasures. Over to you, Asefa, for your presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Asefa. I'm the founder and the CEO of Kibran Tours, which is one of the leading DMC in Ethiopia, specialized in high-end travel in Ethiopia. And everybody, welcome to Ethiopia. And what makes Ethiopia unique than any other African country? Ethiopia is one of the richest country in terms of culture, history, and nature. And Ethiopia has a population of 110 million people, and the capital city of Ethiopia is Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa is it's considered as the capital of Africa because of the AU. It's the headquarters of AU, and there is more than about 150 embassies in Ethiopia. And what makes Ethiopia unique again? Ethiopia has never been colonized, and Ethiopia is the origin of humankind and origin of coffee. And Ethiopia is the first Christian country in Africa. People who comes to Ethiopia to travel or to visit, it makes Ethiopia very popular because of its history. And most of the places that you visit, the northern part of Ethiopia, which is called the highland of Ethiopia or the historical north of Ethiopia. And when you go to the historical north of Ethiopia, you visit most of the famous monolithic churches of Lalibela and the castle of Gondar, the source of the Blue Nile Falls, and of course you visit the monasteries of Lake Tana and the famous Semen Mountains. So I will take you through the northern part first, and then we'll go to continue to the southern part, and then to the eastern and the western part of Ethiopia. But first, I would like to start the trip from Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa is the capital of Ethiopia with a population of nearly 5 million, and it has an altitude of 3,000 meters and a very temperature between 15 to 28 degrees centigrade. And it has a home of many embassies and many diplomats, many United Nations organizations, the seat of many other organizations as well. So Addis Ababa, the key attractions in Addis Ababa, the National Museum, the Holy Trinity, and the Palace of Minilik. And nowadays, the Palace of Haile Selassie, it's open for public, and it's very interesting as well to see Addis Ababa. And Addis Ababa, we recommend people overnight stay here, like 2-3 nights. And the most famous accommodations are here, like the Sheraton Addis, the Radisson Blu, the Hilton and Marriott, and we have also the Golden Trip. But in Addis Ababa, there are many other chain hotels and some other boutique hotels in Addis Ababa. And now I'm gonna take you to the northern part of Ethiopia. The northern or the historical part of Ethiopia, which is very famous for to visit the monastery churches of Lake Tana in Bahar Dar and the Gondar, the castles, and the Semen Mountain, and then Semen Mountain National Park, and Aksum, where we keep the original Ark of the Covenant, and the Tigray churches and Lalibela. When we go to Bahar Dar, the northern historical route where it is marked by red, and this is in the center Addis Ababa. And you fly from Addis Ababa to Bahar Dar, or you can drive. Actually, the drive takes about 8 hours, but if the flight is only 45 minutes, it's like 545 kilometers from Addis Ababa. And when you go to Bahar Dar, there is a daily 5-6 flights a day from Addis Ababa to Bahar Dar. And in Bahar Dar, you can stay 2 nights and visit the monastery churches of Lake Tana and the Blue Nile Falls. The Blue Nile Falls is the source of the Nile River, and Ethiopia is offering 85% of the Nile water. And from Bahar Dar, you can drive to Gondar, and from Gondar, in Gondar, you visit the castles of Gondar, which is built in the 16th century. And it's very famous. And people who visit Gondar, they say that they are visiting a small village in Portugal or in Italy because of it is dozens of castles. And there is also the famous churches of Debre Brahan Selassie. From Gondar, you drive to the Simien Mountain National Park, and in the Simien Mountain National Park, you visit the Gelada baboons and red fox and the Wale ibex, and it's considered the roof of Africa because it's a chain of mountains. And the Simien Mountain, we recommend people to stay like 2-3 nights and make some walking, and it's very, very interesting place to visit. And from there, you can fly or drive to Aksum, and from you drive to Aksum or fly to Aksum. In Aksum, you visit the famous church, the very famous church where we keep the original Ark of the Covenant, and you visit also the obelisks of Aksum. And from Aksum, you can drive to Mekelle, where you can visit the Tigray Rock churches, and Mekelle, where there is a place called Garalta area, which is very interesting, which is Tigray mountains. And from there, sometimes we based this place to fly to the Nickel Depression to visit a day trip to the Nickel Depression. And from there, you come to Lalibela, you fly to Lalibela, and Lalibela is considered the 8th wonder of the world. And it is very famous for its 11 rock-hewn churches. So now I'm going to take you from Bahar Dar, and Bahar Dar is here, where you see in the here, and it's famous for its the Lake Tana. The Lake Tana is the biggest lake in Ethiopia, and when you are in Bahar Dar, as I said earlier, that we recommend to stay 2 nights there, where you can visit the Blue Nile Falls and the monasteries of Lake Tana. And our preferred accommodations in Bahar Dar are the Kuriftu Resort and the Blue Nile Avanti Hotel. Most of the accommodations where we mentioned in this slideshow, they were audited by our safety and healthy. So they passed the healthy and safety requirements. So we are using most of the boutique and small accommodations in Ethiopia. And you visit the monastery churches and the Blue Nile Falls. And this is the painting in one of the monastery churches on Lake Tana. And this is the Kuriftu Resort, Kuriftu Resort, which is one of my favorite hotel in Bahar Dar. And it is a small boutique accommodation. And going to Gondar, there are like many things to visit in Gondar. The castles, there's a dozen of castles, and it is very famous also celebrating the Ethiopian Epiphany, which is celebrating on the 18th and the 19th of January. And the most attractions in Gondar are the castles and the Debre Brahan Selassie Church, which is one of the famous churches in Ethiopia. And what makes Gondar unique, people say that when they are in Gondar, they feel that they are in a small village in Portugal or in Italy because of the castles and the narrow streets. And in Gondar, we have our preferred accommodations in Gondar is the Gondar Hill Resort, which is recently opened. And it is a beautiful resort on the top of a small hill where you can overlook the whole city, including the castle. And it has about 70 rooms. And then our second preferred is the Miloko Lodge, with rooms and lodge, and it's beautiful. The only problem of Morocco lodge is that it is out of the city. It is about 10 kilometers out of the city. This is one of the castle in Gondar. This is the base of Fasilides in Gondar, where people celebrate the Epiphany holiday on the 18th and the 19th of January. If you come here during that celebration, it's full of people, and it's a colorful celebration, and it's one of the most important religious festivals in Ethiopia. And then from Gondar, we go through the Simien Mountain, which is one of my favorite place in Ethiopia, the Simien Mountain National Park. And when you are in the Simien Mountain National Park, which is very interesting, you can see the Gelada baboon, like a group of baboons, and people going to Uganda or Rwanda to visit the gorilla trek. But when you come to Ethiopia, the Gelada baboon is unique and endemic. They call the red-chested Gelada baboon, and you'll be surrounded by hundreds and hundreds of baboons. And here, people can stay in the hotel, in the lodge, or make a camping there, and then make some walking and trekking there. And it's very interesting, and it's considered. This is one of the highest mountain in Ethiopia, and it is considered one of the most beautiful sites in Africa. And accommodation, our preferred accommodation there is the Lima Limo Lodge, which is a beautiful, and the Simien Mountain Lodge. Actually, the Lima Limo Lodge is a little bit out of the park, and but that's one of my favorite lodge in the Simien. But the only down point of that is a bit out of the park. But the Simien Mountain Lodge inside the park, and it's beautiful as well. And mostly we are using the Lima Limo Lodge. But in the near future, we are building our own lodge, which I will talk about it later. And we're gonna have a lodge inside the park. This is the Simien Mountain Lodge. This is the Simien Mountain, and it's as you see, it's a wild beauty, and it is all year round green, lavage, and it's beautiful. This is actually the site that we took to build the lodge. It's here in this area, and it is a beautiful place, and where you have a 360 degree view to the mountain, and it's one of the best sites in Ethiopia. This is the Lima Limo Lodge, and the Lima Limo Lodge has only 14 rooms, and it's really beautiful. And it's considered one of the high-end lodge in Ethiopia. This is the Lima Limo Lodge. And from Simien, you go to Aksum. Aksum is it's considered one of the historical place in Africa, because our Christianity started from Aksum, and it has a 3,000 years history. And when you go to Aksum, it's not only to the history, but you will get the chance to visit the very famous church, which is called the St. Mary's Zion Church, where we keep the Ark of the Covenant. People say that the lost Ark of the Covenant, but we say that we have it in Ethiopia. And for people who is very interesting to know more about the Ark of the Covenant, I recommend one book which is called The Sign and the Seal, which is written by Graham Hancock. And it's really very interesting book, and you will know a little bit about the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is found in the small chapel in Ethiopia, and you will get the chance to visit the church, but not the Ark of the Covenant. And in Aksum, you will visit also the palace of Queen of Sheba and the palace of King Caleb, and you will have the chance to visit also the obelisks of Aksum. And in Aksum, our preferred accommodations are the Sabian Hotel and the Arma Hotel. And of course, both of them are basic hotels. And the near future, there are some new hotels are coming up, some lodges are coming up there. But for the moment, the Sabian and the Arma Hotel who passed the safety and health requirements. From there, this is one of the fallen obelisk in Aksum, and from Aksum, you drive to the Tigray area, which is in the Mekelle, and from or the Geralta area. The Geralta area is like it's home of about more than 100 rock-hewn churches, and it is very famous. The churches were built from a unique stone, and most of them built on the mountain, and that's why it's called the Tigray mountain churches. And our preferred and most attracted one is the Abuna Yamata Cave Church and the Korpor Mariam. Those are the most interesting churches. And the scenery in the Geralta area is very, very interesting. And there are some accommodations like the Korpor Lodge and the Geralta. Both of them are high-end lodges, and they are beautiful high-end lodges and beautiful lodges. The one thing is when you are in the Geralta area also, you can get the chance to go to the Dynasty Depression, which is the lowest point on Earth. And most of the people who are coming to Ethiopia to visit the Dynasty Depression, they based in the Geralta area, and then they fly by helicopter going to the Dynasty Depression to a day trip. And this is the best place to make helicopter trips to visit also the mountain churches, the Tigray mountain churches, and then the Nile Depression. And from there, you can, this is one of the view from the Geralta. And from the Tigray, you will drive to, or you fly to Lalibela. Lalibela is like the highlight of Ethiopia, and it's considered the eighth wonder of the world. And most people, they say that, oh, it's the next Machu Picchu, but I always say this is not the next, this is a Machu Picchu, even more than a Machu Picchu, because this is a live church, and everybody wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock and going to the church. Every day there is an activity there, and it's really beautiful. And Lalibela, there are 11 rock-hewn churches, which was built in the 12th century. And most of them are excavated from a unique stone, and some are monolithic and semi-monolithic and cave churches. And actually, there are 11 rock-hewn churches only in Lalibela, but outside Lalibela, the surrounding of Lalibela, there are other more and interesting rock-hewn churches. And our preferred accommodation in Lalibela, the Mazana Lodge and the Maribela Hotel. The Mazana Lodge has 30 rooms, and the Maribela Hotel has 18 rooms. Both of them are past our health and safety requirements, and both of them are good accommodations. And now this is Lalibela, the village in Lalibela, and this is one of the church in Lalibela, the Beta Georgis, the most visited and the most photographed church in Ethiopia. And this is the parchment book written from the goat skin. It's one of the oldest Bible book. This is during the celebration in Lalibela. This is one of the church in Lalibela. This is the Maribela Hotel. Now going to the south, the southern part of Ethiopia. The southern part of Ethiopia is mostly for tribal visits, more for culture, and this is like it's very interesting. And people who visit this area, they feel that they are going back 1,000 years back, and it's a very interesting area to visit. 50 different tribes sitting in a small area, and they keep their culture and tradition up to now, and it's really a beautiful place to visit the southern part of Ethiopia. So this is like the southern part, the southern part. So from here, you visit, you fly from Addis Ababa to Arba Minch, and from Arba Minch you can drive to Konso, to Jinka and Churmi, where you see the famous tribe called the Hammer, and then you can go to Murile and to the Kara area, where you visit the Karo and the Jews tribes. Omrate, where you can visit the Spanish people. And those areas are very, very interesting. There are about 50 different tribes living here. And for people who can afford, they can fly from here to Murle by charter or by helicopter and based in here and visit most of the famous churches. And there is also the Omo River, and it's very interesting. Sailing by boat on the Omo River to visit some of the tribes, it's very interesting. So the southern, when you go to the southern route or the Omo Valley route, which is very interesting, where you can see the Omo tribes, the Mursi, the Hammer, the Dasanich, Karo area. More than 50 tribes are living in this area, and most of the places doesn't offer good quality of accommodation, but where there are very few accommodations in the Omo. And this is one of the challenge when you go to the Omo, you can't find a good quality of accommodation. But thanks to the Lale camp, where they have, it's one of the high-end camp in the Omo, where we are the only partner with them from any Ethiopian DMC. And we are working closely with the Lale camp, and it's really very interesting camp. And they have only 7 rooms there, and they do things in a very professional way. So we are using them, and in the near future we are building also our own lodge that I'm going to come back later on about that. And as I said earlier, you can fly to Arbamich, Jinka, or you can use a private charter going to the Omo Valley. And the time to visit the Omo Valley, we recommend between 7 to 10 days. But for those who don't have time, even 5 days will be enough to visit the Omo tribes. This is the Kara tribe. When they celebrate they have, every time they have a different functions, like weddings and so on. So they celebrate like this. This is one of the dance of the Kara. And this is the Kara tribe, and their hairstyle is different. They put the clay hair, and the Kara and the Hammer, they look similar, but the only difference is that the Hammer, they have a long hair, and the Hammer is considered one of the most beautiful tribes in the southern part. This is their village. This is the village in Dus, in the Omo Valley. And this is the restaurant in the Lale camp. And Lale camp is found in the Kara village. And actually we have a land next to them. And we probably do one lodge here, but not in the near future, because we have an agreement with Lale camp that we are working closely with them. So we're gonna do one lodge a bit farther from here, so we can use both lodges easily. We're linking by both lodges by boat on Omo River, so that people can, instead of a long drive, they can use a boat and go out from the boat and visit some of the tribes. And this is a Haile resort in Arbamij, and this is like one of the best lodge. Haile is a very famous athlete who won many gold medal in 10,000 meters, and he built many hotels in Ethiopia. So before I finish the southern part is a very sensitive area, because it is a visit of the tribal, and nowadays due to a lot of tourism to the area, it has been spoiled. But we are trying to make that visit in a very professional way, where visitors can have deep knowledge of the southern and a good connection with the tribes. So that's why we are building lodges here, and we try to make things in a very professional way. And we are partnering with Lale Camp, and Lale is the manager, Lale, who's a Kara tribe, and he is a very, very good guy who managed to work closely with the community. So we are working in collaboration And when we built our own lodges in the Omo Delta, in that Sanic area, we'll cooperate with them to sail together both lodges as one. So going to the Bali Mountain National Park, this is the second national park in Ethiopia, and this is the second highest mountain in Ethiopia. The Bali Mountain is it's very famous for fauna and flora, and it is very famous also where you can see easily the wolf, the red fox, and it's very interesting place to visit. And here there is a good accommodation called the Bali Mountain Lodge, and it's one of the high-end lodge in Ethiopia. And here for people who is really interesting about birding, this is the best place to visit Bali Mountain Lodge. By the way, Ethiopia is considered the bird paradise country. There is 287 species of endemic birds in Ethiopia. So it's like a beautiful place to visit to come for bird watching. This is the red fox, and this is the Bali Mountain Lodge. And then when you go to the eastern part of Ethiopia, which is most popular for, it's like considered the second Mecca of Africa. And it is very popular for its colorful market and a very famous man who's feeding the hyenas. And Harar, it's very famous for its market. And it's the world city. Harar was it's one of the UNESCO heritage. So accommodation there, it's like a grand gato, but this is like very basic accommodation. Now, when this is the eastern part of Ethiopia, so this is Bali Mountain can combine with the eastern part and also with the southern part. That's why it's my market right here. So the Harar is here and the Dredoa is here, and it's a beautiful place. Now I'm going to take you to the Danakil Depression. This is Harar. So the Danakil Depression, which is like one of the lowest points on Earth, and it's the wild beauty, and it's really very interesting to visit with active volcano, and especially when you go to the Ertali area. But for those people who can afford going by helicopter, it's really a beautiful place to see. And for those who can't afford, we can also make camping there, staying 2-3 nights in the Danakil Depression. So in the Danakil Depression, there is what makes the key attractions there, like the volcano, the active volcano, the camel caravan, and the salt port, and it's very interesting also for those who really want to make some great adventure. And there's a good the accommodation. There is a camping. We have a fly camp. Otherwise, people can stay in the Garalta and make a day trip by helicopter. This is the Nile Depression. This is the camel caravan. This is the active volcano. So Kebra is one of the oldest DMC in Ethiopia, which is started since 20 years. And we have a very active team here in Ethiopia. And we have also some international teams. And we have been in the business for 2 decades, and we are working mostly for high-end clients and mostly for tailor-made and small groups. And we are doing some lodges in the Simien Mountain and the Simien Mountain National Park. We started already the lodge, and it's going to be a fixed tent, and it's going to be one of the high-end lodge in Ethiopia. And actually, it's supposed to be finished in October, but due to the current situation, we postponed it, and it will finish in next May. And we took also a land in Lalibela. We'll also do some one lodge in Lalibela, which will have 14 rooms, and in the Omo Valley, in the Omo which is a tented lodge. So the Simeon Mountain will finish in next May, and we'll be happy to invite everyone to visit us. And thank you very much. And if you have a question, and I'm happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Asafa, for this wonderful presentation. For anyone who joined in late, please note that you will receive the entire recorded webinar via email as soon as this webinar is over. There's also the entire article from Forbes about Ethiopia being the major tourist destination post-pandemic on Kibran Tours Facebook page. And now is the right time to ask any questions in the Q&A box. Please, not in the chat box, but the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So, Asafa, your first question for you is, how long is the drive between Gondar and Aksum?
The drive from Gondar to Aksum is about 5 hours, 5 to 6 hours, but it depends because the road is a very panoramic and very interesting road. So sometimes it can take up to 8 hours. But now as the road finished, the brand new road, it will take about 5 hours.
Wonderful, thank you. And this is just a comment that it would be great to have the driving times between the different destinations, just for future reference.
I will add that, and I will send for people that can drop me an email.
Thank you very much. What's the best time to visit the Omo Valley?
The Omo Valley is all year round, but except in April there is a little shower. Otherwise it's all year round. It's very good.
Great, thank you. Our next question is, what is the ideal time frame for a full tour of Ethiopia?
Yeah, we recommend for about 3 weeks to visit the whole country, minimum of 3 weeks.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there dates for Ethiopia's reopening for international visitors in 2020?
Currently, I really don't know when it's going to be open, but we are expecting that should be very soon.
All right, thank you for that. So our next question is a person mentioning that there are wine lands and asking if there's any tourist feature for that.
Sorry, what is that?
Wine lands.
The wineland, yeah, we have very few wineland farms in Ethiopia, but it's not popular for tourism. But it's like they are trying to include this. Is one of the French big companies. They have this wineland, and will feature that in the near future.
Great, thank you. And then there's a question about when will the lodge in the Omo be complete?
The Omo Valley Lodge will be complete. The time frame will be the same as the Simeon Mountain, but as you know that the problem due to the quarantine here, people who comes to Ethiopia currently now, they should be quarantined. And our contractor from South Africa, which is a Bush Tech, they supposed to come in May, but they were not able to come. So as soon as the quarantine over, they will come here and they will tell us the time frame. But we are expecting for May 2021.
Wonderful, thank you. So we have time for 2 more questions. So with regards to sending clients over to Ethiopia, what would be the time that you would least recommend due to weather conditions, for instance, when it's not
I just say people who want to visit the northern part of Ethiopia, which is the highlight of the country, it is better to send them from mid-September to May, because June, July, August, it is our rain season. So especially October and November is the best time to visit Ethiopia, because it's immediately after the rain season, and it is green, and then it's with a lot of flowers, and it's beautiful.
Great, thank you. So in our last question, for now, then I will put you all in contact with the ASEFA's email so that you can exchange your questions directly with him. So there is the person asking, how many lodges and tented camps do you plan to open, ASEFA?
We are planning to do, currently we are planning to do 3, 1 lodge in Lalibela and 2 tender lodge, 1 in the Simeon Mountain and 1 in the Omo Valley. This is our first stage, but in the future we will And this three, we were planning to finish the three of them by 2021, but now one of the lodge Lalibela should be in 2022. So we have three lodges we planned.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for this. So I will now follow up with everyone with SFS email, as there is a request for more detailed information about Ethiopia trips. So thank you everyone for listening. Sefa, if you would like to just read out once more your email now.
Yeah, my email is asafa@kebrantours.com. And thank you very much, everybody. Please follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. We have an amazing posts that we make on Facebook and Twitter, so you can follow us and like us, and you'll get more updated information about our lodges and trips in Ethiopia. And thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.